Hi there, we are Steve and Sally, a husband and wife team who together run Azimuth Images and travel the UK in our camper van Pam. Come join us on our adventures. I made a bit of a decision last week or so. I've been trying maybe too hard to build Pam the Van as a channel. Maybe not just enjoying myself enough. So here's the first of the videos of me enjoying myself. If you like it, subscribe, do the ticky box thing and the bells and all the whistles and stuff. Hey what, life's too short. Been wanting to do this for a while. Fradley Junction. Absolutely nowhere near Fradley, which is pretty much the way for most canal setups really. It's set itself up initially as a junction between Trent and Mersey, which is off to my right, we'll show you some of that in a minute, and the newfangled Coventry. And like many other things with the canals, water was your big issue. So if you dug your canal, by hand please remember, you didn't want any of your hard-gained, hard-won water supply going to the new boy, in this case the Coventry. So the rules were very simple. If you're the new boy, your canal had to let water into the existing one. Now, they went a little bit further than that here at Fradley, and there's a series of 5 locks, and they decided that rather than risk any of their water going to the Coventry, they'd build a channel. And that channel basically went from the lock above the Coventry to the one below. And that way they guaranteed that the Coventry never got any of their water. Sneaky, huh? So we parked up at Fradley car park, and we're now going to have a wander up here. This is Bridge 51. And with the adjacent lock, we'll go over the little bridge and we'll come down the other side and we'll try not to get run over. And the lock we have over here is junction lock. Number 17. Try not to get one over here as it comes along. So this is the first lock downstream of the junction. So at the top of that lock, we'll trundle along here this fine, wonderful sunny day, along with a myriad of ducks. Not sure what the plural of ducks is, but it's a myriad now. You'll see the junction with the Coventry just over there. And in the distance you might just see a little bridge. We're going to have a look at that in a bit, but that's where the Coventry goes, literally halfway through the Fradley flight. And here we have the direction sign. About as complicated as it gets with canals. You've got Coventry this way, Shardlow that way, Great Haywood the other way. That's all you need. Here we are approaching the next lock, just a couple hundred metres up. These locks are arranged in a flight of 5, all really quite close together. And this led to a technique known as lock wheeling, where you could send one of your crew ahead, if you had enough crew of course, on a bicycle to get the lock set ready for your boat, so then what you had to do was cruise on in. So here we are, lock 18, middle lock. And in the not too distant distance you'll see just about on. It's very foggy here, you won't see too much yet. The white archway that marks out the entrance to the next lock. The idea of the white archway being you can see it in the dark and not hit it. Just to our right, and I'll get that in a second, is where the bypass weir starts. And this is where water was diverted away from the good old Trent and Mersey over to, see if I can make this work. There's a 50-50, I'm going to make this work in the right direction. Down here. And that goes all the way past the other lock we just came earlier on, neatly bypassing in every sense of the word those fiendish bounders of the Coventry who would otherwise have benefited from the water Trent and Mersey had worked so hard to store and divert. A little later on we'll find out where it comes out the other end. We have here an informative plaque that says the Trent and Mersey Canal Company dug this open channel to carry water above Middlelock to Fradley Pool, which is now a lovely nature reserve. And this stopped their water going down into the Coventry Canal. And that water then gets diverted through the pool and comes out at the bottom of Hunt's Lock. We'll go and take a look later, so it comes out. A very enthusiastic person has just jogged past us. And I'm not a great lover of being filmed when I'm out in public, and I try to avoid filming other people. And I'm whizzing past with windlass in hand, getting ready to prepare the next lock down. The one we're here is Wood End. The last lock for some miles, to be fair. I'm going to try and get down here without falling down. I'm aware there is a boat in that lock, and you may be able to see there's water coming through the channel there. So that is slowly being emptied. There's going to be a boat in there. And again, I like to respect other people's privacy and not stick my camera in their face. But that's the top of the locks. And there is our enthusiastic windlass winder. Right, well, just having said we don't like photographing other people's boats and videoing other people's boats, we've just met Connor from CW Boat Movers, who is moving this boat, Winnie Rose. Grandad's at the helm, give it the numbers, and he's run down a few times now to get the lock ready. Because we're nice people, there you go. We'll go give him a hand. Now, it must be said, if you're not a boater and you get to a lock, don't just jump in and offer to help, guys, or at least offer to help, but don't just jump in and start waving around. We've only got our own techniques, our own ways of doing things, our own style and our own speed. And locks are dangerous places and people get hurt. So if you do want to help, the person on the boat's the person in charge. Just give them a nod, give them a smile. Odds are they'll be happy to take your help, but don't just go wading in, you're going to mess up the system. So Connor's off there in the mist. We'll spin round in a sec, get Grandad coming in. If he's got that timed right, he'll be opening that gate. Tell you what, it's almost like he's done it before.
Oh, that look, mate. Yeah.
Here comes Grandad, he's got the hang of that, hasn't he?
Only because I taught him.
Well, learn from the best. Learn from the best. Look at that. Top man. Mind you, to be fair, it is a little bit easier putting him in at the top because it's a little bit wider there. Nicely done. So here we are back at the junction. Not that I'm old or anything, but when I first started boating, this over here, narrowboat painting, used to be a base for swan line. Good to see it's still in use now. It's got a decent dry dock. Narrowboat painting a speciality. Yeah, good to see it back in use. Now if you're a goozler, someone that just stands and watches canals, we're at the Swan, Fradley. If you're a boater, it's the Mucky Duck. Don't ask me why, just what it's known as. Now this ingenious metal bar you see here propped up, says he trying to point from there to down there, is designed to keep these gates closed, because normally the balance beam, which is this great big effort from there all the way across, would be straight, and it's called a balance beam because it balances the weight of the gates. The problem here is it is so close to the bridge that it would collide with the bridge, because these literally had to come all the way across and run parallel to that edge, and that clearly wouldn't work. So they built these beams that were bent, and the problem is that throws the balance. And although these normally stay shut with even the slightest bit of water pressure behind them, these bent ones don't. And the problem is a very old boater's trick. Is that a trick for very old boaters, or a very old boater's trick? I don't know. But you could gently nudge the front of your boat up to the gates, assuming that the lock chamber itself was empty, and you could use that to open them. And of course that doesn't work now. They put these beams here, and good old CRT and the assorted volunteers now spend half the day telling people not to nudge the gates, because clearly that's not going to work. So we've just walked up a little bit from that lock there with the funny old arms. Chris is getting moored up there to go and get the lock done, and we're going to go around the corner here to the Coventry. So we'll take a nice gentle slow meander around this corner, and the moorings here, just a couple of posts, they are there to make life easier for you when you come around this corner. And the first thing you find is a wee little bridge, and that bridge of course goes to somebody's house. Well, I think it's a bungalow, to be fair. It doesn't do anything else other than that. It is literally just the access across to this property. So of course if you leave the bridge the wrong way, they get stuck. There's literally come off the canal, a few yards around the corner, and here's this rather lovely utilitarian, I dare say it would have been timber at one point, little bridge. Fradley swing bridge, open bridge fully, move boat through, closed bridge securely, and it goes all the way over there. For the purpose of the video, my beautiful assistant will now demonstrate how easy it is. Look at that, really, really well balanced. And the idea is your boat goes through, you stop the other side, you come back, you close the bridge, and off you go again. Simple solutions, often the best. And thus marks the start of the Coventry Canal. Okay, so there's the swing bridge at the start of the Coventry, the new boy in the town. We're going to have a gentle wander down now to the nature reserve. A lovely place. It's one quite pure water. It's nice bird hides. It's pretty easy to access, relatively wheelchair friendly, I would suggest, and parking's not too bad. £2 gets you up to 4 hours, which in fairness is plenty of time. And of course that bypass we showed you earlier on goes straight through the middle of it. Let's go find it. So here we are at one of the entrances to Fradley Pool Nature Reserve. And a lovely place it is too. Got a very good photograph of woodpecker here some years ago, and a robin not so long ago. See if we can dig that out for you. All sorts of wildlife here, though of course there's plenty of ducks, gulls of assorted sorts, moorhens, coots, you name it. It's a very lovely little place to be. And last time we came down here, there are robins aplenty, and one of them was making very good use of that little table just there. And because I'm feeling particularly generous and a really nice bloke, I have in my pocket a bag of bird food, some of which I'll deposit here. So the lighter bird is everywhere. We have mealworms, high energy feed mix, sunflower hearts, and a couple of suety bits. I bet they're not there when we come back. There we go, the blackbird's down. Lunch is served. I can't really see from this distance what its favourite is, but whatever its favourite is. Oh, here comes the first of the pigeons. That didn't take long, did it? Greedy little blighters they are. No wonder they're so fat. This is one of the rather lovely bird hides. Popular with people as much as the birds. I think get one on the wall somewhere, but I'm not sure which one. I'm prepared to bet that if we come here tomorrow lunchtime, tomorrow being Christmas Day, this is going to be absolutely heaving with people out claiming to walk off the Christmas dinner, which is why we're here today. You need to remember this rather beautiful place wasn't built for wildlife at all. Purely commercial. Kind of storage pond, if you like, which is pretty critical to the canal network, because every time a boat goes down to a lock it uses lots of water, and that's got to come from somewhere. So this lovely nature reserve ultimately is a reservoir, that's easy for me to say, a reservoir for the canal network. Plus, of course, stopping those sneaky people from the Coventry getting the Trent and Mersey's water. Now, of course, it's all CRT, so it doesn't really matter. But back in the day, you paid to get that water, and by Jove, you weren't going to give it away. So, as promised, this is the far side of the nature reserve. Come pool, come reservoir, call it what you will. Fradley Pool, I think, is official title. Just in case that you're going swimming, there's a notice there that says please don't. And this is the outlet that will then ultimately return back to the Trent and Mersey. So we've got a kind of pretty standard weir set up here. Sadly I can't see it from this angle. And just over to the left there's a sort of a manual bypass job that can be achieved. And this next bit relies on me not going base over apex as I try and tell you where it goes. So under here, I know I'm off to one side at the moment, I can just see an easier path than the more direct one. But as we come under here, hopefully you can start hearing that already. That. Now, I'm not going to go much closer than that for fear of falling in and getting very wet and looking rather stupid. That is where all that water we saw earlier on comes out. Open culvert. Actually bypasses the next lock entirely as well. It comes out below there. We'll go and look at that in a moment. This is gloriously scenic, but here's the bypass still, bubbling away to itself. Goes under the roadway here, which I shall achieve by a rotate without getting run over, hopefully. The canal is off to our right there, just over Humpback Bridge. If I can achieve this without getting run over. So far so good. Comes out. And over here, we just disturbed the blackbird there. I'm not too happy with this. And continues its journey past the next lock, which is beside us, just to the right. Down another lock. Here we are, Bridge 50. And the water you can see running over there is the bywash from the lock. So each lock, when it's full, to prevent it being overflowing and going at the top of the gates, has its little bypass weir that goes round the lock and comes out the other side. Now if you're navigating, that can catch you out if you're not careful, because you get lined up beautifully going through that very narrow slit, and then that bywash catches you. It's not too bad today. Not much space between this lock and the next one, so not allowed to moor overnight down here. But as we go down here, it's not terribly far till we get to the next lock. As the canal continues its path downhill, comes along here, and this is the top of Hunt's Lock, the last in the flight of 5, and that there is the top of the bypass weir I was telling you about earlier on, the one that just serves an individual lock. big lump of railway track there designed to stop boats accidentally taking the wrong path, and that then comes around the lock down the other side. Now a lot of the other locks we've been to have got little bridges on them, which makes life very much easier. But of course, if you're a working boatman, time wasn't on your side. If you ain't moving, you ain't earning. So they had this very small ledge here, which isn't always as firm as you'd like it to be, and can be quite a step. Now, whilst this gate is like it is, and the lock is all the way down, this is actually pretty secure. But some years ago, I ended up dealing with something that's fallen in, not this lock, different one, because they didn't hold on. I fell down, landed under a couple of boats. Yeah, hold on tight. Handrails are there for a reason, but I don't care how big and brave you are. So let's concentrate on where we're going, over the other side. And here's the other end of that little bypass for this one lock. Comes out the other end, take a nice gentle sweep round, past some very nice new pilings. Thank you, CRT. Look at that. And it comes out this one at a lovely shallow angle, so it doesn't actually batter you as you come out. Now let's go find out where that big one comes out then. So this one doesn't have a nice little bridge. It does have a little footway there. The problem with this, as I showed you just now, is this lock is down, therefore empty. There's nothing keeping these gates in the closed position other than the balance beams we mentioned earlier on, and these are nice, as you can see, solid straight ones. The problem with walking across this now, if there's no water in this, is there's nothing to stop these beams moving, and you end up getting very wet. So in the interest of safety and being a good lad, we're going to walk back over here and go the safe way. So, having bigged up how wonderful this bypass system was that stopped the Coventry getting hold of the Trent and Mersey's water, it's a bit of a letdown today. And now it comes down here, goes down a little brick culvert, posh for Waterways underpass, under where we're standing now, comes out there, that little brick culvert there, and all you can actually see about it today, if you look really carefully, carefully being the word, is just disturbance in the water there. But I guess overall it must have been worth it, particularly in times of drought when you needed all the water you could get. Let's go back uphill then. Oh, if we continue further downhill, by the way, then we would end up at the new, not that we're going to see it from here, but I'll show you where it would be, at the new Fradley Marina. The footpath here, by the way, is in such brilliant condition because some of the cable TV companies worked out that it's very hard, difficult, tricky, and all those other things they don't like to get permission to dig up assorted fields, roadways and paths, etc. Did a bit of a deal with CRT, pulled a bit of a blinder really, the pair of them. And the idea was, yep, you can dig up our towpath to lay your fibre optics cables, but you're going to put it back in a really nice condition. And to be fair, they have, and it's worked really, really well. And where this has taken place, the footpath, towpath is always really well done. So I think that's a bit of a win-win, to be fair. Let's go back uphill. Certainly wasn't the sunniest of days, but hey what, nice enough day. Pam the van, another adventure. Though to be honest, we didn't bring Pam today because we're not terribly far from home. But yeah, if you've got a few hours to spare and £2 all it's going to cost you, then come on down. There's toilets here, there's even showers if you fancy it, and a nice little cafe, not too bad in the prices, somewhere nice to sit, and come and watch the boats go by. Till the next one, see you later.